Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. It's Friday night. I hope you guys are in for a phenomenal weekend. See what I did there? Thank you. Hope everything's going great. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, as always, and I am just anxious to bring you all into my world. Thank you so much for showing up, and just so you know, I'm not alone. 3 months? That went a bit quick. Maggie. You guys got graduated. Those of you that are YouTube members, thank you so much for your contribution and help to keep the lights on here on the Paranormal Portal. You just hit 3 months, all of you, almost all of you. Yeah, I think it's going fast, so thank you so much. But, and thank you to all of you that are tuning in and listening and leaving thumbs up and leaving comments. Just really appreciate all that. That really helps us out and shows the world that there's something going on here. I'm not alone here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by the big branch of my personal family tree, and that is, of course, Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Glad to see everyone in here and glad to be on another show of the Paranormal Portal. Feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm just really excited to do another show. You know, between the shows, it does feel like it's forever. I mean, it's one day away, like from Wednesday till today. And speaking of Wednesday's show, if you guys didn't check it out, we had Sarah Bignell and Cade Moya on here from the Believe podcast and Yowie Central, respectively. But there was a great discussion. We had a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. It was a great night. We talked about everything. We talked about ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, Bigfoot, Yowies, everything we could think of. We covered it, and probably then some. It was just a lot of fun. It was our first real big, real roundtable episode here on the live shows and it was a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked it out, check out the YouTube archives, and you can find those if you're listening on TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. You can find our archives on for the Wednesday show on youtube.com/paranormal portal. But also check out tfrlive.com, and you can find archives over there as well. And you can be a member over there and help the station out. But I can tell you what, there's a lot to get through tonight, as always. But I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of the Paranormal Portal live shows, and that is Cryptid Coin, ladies and gentlemen. It's a newer cryptocurrency geared towards cryptid research and investigation, and they've been kind enough to step in and say, hey, we like what you're doing. We want to help promote the shows and support what you're doing. So they, of course, I was thrilled. And I know a lot of people are going towards cryptocurrencies, and just as in lieu of more traditional investments, because I don't know. It just seems there's so much that's up in upheaval in our world, and I think people are looking for other alternatives because you just never know. So if you're looking for a cryptocurrency investment, do check out Cryptid Coin. And you can learn more over at cryptidcoin.io. Again, that is cryptidcoin.io. And a special thank you to Cryptid Coin for helping us keep the lights here on in the Paranormal Portal. Helping to buy batteries for all this stuff going on behind me. All right, so check them out, guys. But Sheldon, let's dig into some of the news. What do you think?
Sounds perfect to me.
Hardwick, good to meet you. Thank you. Welcome to Portal Peeps. He's a new member, it looks like. Good. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And the fourth color, of course, is here. Good to see you, brother. Thank you guys so much. That helps out a ton. So, yeah, let's get to the news. Let's do it. Let's just rip into it. Let's shred some news, Sheldon.
Yeah, let's destroy it.
We usually do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a special thanks to Wes Germer again for making that intro for us, and a special thanks to The Unknown for several of the intros that we use throughout the show here. Thank you guys for your contributions. It definitely helps out a ton. You're making us look good, guys. Thank you so much. But welcome to the news desk, everybody. We got some Paranormal Portal news to get into. Some of it's actually paranormal tonight, but some of it's just some cool stuff that's going on. And the first article up on deck tonight on our newscast is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, one of the greatest sites ever. I love this site. If you get a chance, check it out because they do a phenomenal job of encapsulating all kinds of topics into newsworthy bites. And actually, they have some very extensive articles on there as well, too. So, again, that's unexplained-mysteries.com. And our first article from unexplained-mysteries.com, after I close this advertisement, is the James Webb captures its first direct image of an alien planet. Well, that's kind of cool.
Ooh.
The Next Generation Space Telescope has achieved what astronomers are calling a transformative moment. Oh, I love all those juicy words. Transformative. All right. It says, very few extrasolar worlds have ever been observed directly because they're just so faint to relative to their parent stars, which makes these latest images from the James Webb Space Telescope so impressive. And you can see in the picture, for those of you on YouTube, they are really pretty cool. Captured using the telescope's near-infrared camera, NRCam, and mid-infrared instrument, MIRI, the images show, for the first time since the James Webb began operations, an extrasolar world imaged directly in a solar system some 385 light years from the Earth. Known as HIP 65426b, it's such a romantic name. Wonder what they name their kids. Come here, Pie. Pie.
Oh my god.
It's good. Yeah, anyway, it was funny in my head.
Right.
The the planet is very large, roughly 12 times the size of Jupiter, and it also orbits its star at a distance equivalent to 100 times the distance from the Earth to the Sun. Incredibly, the telescope was able to separate them despite the planet being 10,000 times dimmer than its star. Obtaining this image felt like digging for space treasure, said lead analyst Arin Carter of the University of California, Santa Cruz. At first, all I could see was light from the star, but with careful image processing, I was able to remove that light and uncover the planet. While this particular planet is definitely not a good candidate for finding extraterrestrial life, the James Webb Space Telescope is likely to be observing a great many other worlds during its lifetime. Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole point, right? This is a transformative moment, not only for Webb, but also for astronomy generally, said study leader Sasha Hinckley of the University of Exeter. So, very cool. Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. I am actually pretty impressed with the image quality, considering it was
no kidding.
right next to its star. From this distance, I mean, if you look at the star field up here, they're all kind of mashed together, but to be able to draw out a single planet orbiting that is really exciting. At least it is for me, and I'm not pretending it's as important to everybody, but I think it is important to all of us, because the more we know, the more we know.
I think it's really cool how scientists, I think it's really fascinating when scientists can get all that information just from a processed picture. Like I mean, when you zoom in that far, it's not the greatest quality.
Sure.
So getting all that information just from that little picture, that's really cool to me.
It's almost like most photos of Bigfoot, actually. Should aim the James Webb down in the forest out here. We'll probably get some good photos. And they're nowhere near as far away. I'm just kidding. I'm just poking fun. But there are some pretty fudgy images of Bigfoot out there, and it's hard to tell whether it's a booger on the lens or a stump or an actual cryptid, in a lot of cases. So I don't know where booger on the lens came from. It's how my head works. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, that's cool, though. I think that's really fun, really exciting stuff. The more we know, the more we know.
That's right.
Clip it. All right, the next one up from unexplained-mysteries.com. Possible mystery aircraft photographed outside of Area 51 hangar. Ooh. Let's see what's going on here. A satellite image taken on August 1st appears to show something large sitting outside a remote hangar at the base. There are a few places on Earth as notoriously secretive as Area 51, a remote facility in the Nevada desert that has become synonymous with stories of reverse-engineered alien technology and the development of highly advanced black projects that next to nobody knows anything about. Potentially new evidence of such activities has been doing the rounds this week after a satellite photograph was posted online and distributed around various sites and message boards. It shows what appears to be an object, possibly an aircraft, sitting outside an isolated hangar, the purpose of which remains unclear, at the southern end of the base. While at a glance the object is so distinct that it's difficult to make out, many people, including defense and military technology experts, have expressed interest in the image. I don't know. Kind of looks like the James Webb planets there, that image. But anyway, let's see what it says. Where did I go? There have been confirmed sightings of a mystery aircraft on the runways of Area 51 before, so it's certainly not outside the realms of possibility that this could be one as well. If it is an aircraft, it's quite a big one, potentially even wider than the runway it's sitting on. Further analysis of the image by Twitter user Ruben Hoffs, is that his claim to fame? Let's send it to Ruben. He's a Twitter user. He'll know. Can be viewed below. I don't mean to make fun of Ruben. I don't know anything about the guy. It says, while searching through Trough, some places on Sentinel-2 hub, my eye caught this small blip on the taxiway just outside the southernmost hangar at Area 51. Could this be Black Project? Or is it just a wet spot? Or a shadow on the runway? Let me know what you think. I can't even touch that. That's so inappropriate. I'll just shut up. I dare not rule out its shadow since it doesn't seem to line up with any cloud in the vicinity. Well, there you go. Good job, Ruben. I'm sure you'll get to the bottom of it. It's just going to forward all the images to Ruben. I don't know. That's funny in my head, too. It's a scary place in my head. All right.
It is.
It is. You know. You've been around me too much. All right. So that's that one. Let's get to the next one here. And this one is kind of a horror story, really. I don't know. I feel really, really bad for this guy. But I'm not even sure that he lived through it, but let's see what happens. Let's see what it says. Unexplained-mysteries.com brings us a story of a man suffers 20,000 bee stings in horror attack. Oh, God.
Oh, God. That sounds lethal, but I don't know.
You'd think it would be, right? Because that'd be introducing a whole lot of that toxins into your system.
Yeah.
The unfortunate man had been trimming tree branches when he inadvertently disturbed a large nest full of bees. 20-year-old Ohio resident Austin Bellamy had been up in a lemon tree trimming the branches last Friday when he accidentally cut into a bee's nest. Ooh, yeah, that pisses him right off. Within seconds, a huge swarm of bees was all over him, stinging him repeatedly. His uncle and grandmother, who were watching from below, could do nothing to assist, as they too came under attack from the insects. And I was going to try to climb the ladder to get Austin. I seen how high he was, but I couldn't get to him because I was surrounded in bees, his grandmother said. He was hollering, "Help me, help me, help." And nobody would help him. Not nobody would help him. Nobody could.
Yeah, come on.
Eventually, an emergency medical helicopter crew was able to get him and take him to safety. However, he'd been stung an estimated 20,000 times and was in a very bad way. To save his life, doctors took the decision to place him in a medically induced coma. To make matters worse, he had ingested as many as 30 of the insects.
Oh, God.
Oh. So he had bees inside him, and they suctioned bees out of him until Sunday morning, his mother told reporters. Fortunately, however, Bellamy has since woken up from his coma, and doctors believe that he should go on to make a full recovery.
Wow.
He might be a superhero now, though. I don't know how that works, but if he lives, that's like, I don't know, that's like a superhero story right there. That's pretty...
His body's got to be immune to that venom by now.
That's horrid. I couldn't imagine the horror of that. I've been stung, by a few bees, and that's terrible enough. But my God, to be like 20,000 times, ugh, man, that guy's.
I mean, I guess I don't know, but when it said it stung repeatedly, must be wasps, right?
No,
I don't think there's any bee that can sting repeatedly.
No, it's not the same bees, but it's a big bee's nest, so I think there was just lots of them in there.
Right.
So yeah, if it's wasps, of course, they'll sit in like a sewing machine on you and just ping you. I had one. I was mowing the lawn one time, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little anecdotal story. And I was wearing a t-shirt, and it was kind of a loose fitting t-shirt. This is years ago, and I was mowing along, and all of a sudden I felt something in my armpit, and I was like, "What the hell's that?" And so I put my arm down, and it was a wasp, and it sat in my armpit doing this into my skin. I'm like, it was the worst situation. I got nailed 8 times in my armpit before I was able to shake it out of my shirt. That was a horror. That was terrible. But so this guy, I got a lot of empathy for him. I don't think I would live through more than 100 bee stings. But man, this
got
guy's
like a bee tattoo in there.
I know. Yeah, I was signing its name on my armpit. So, yeah, terrible story. But this guy's he's got to be a hell of a strong guy to pull through that, though. That's incredible.
That's a lot of venom.
That is, yeah. I mean, isn't it? I think it's kind of the same kind of venom like a rattlesnake bite, right? I think bee venom is very similar to that. It's not a neurotoxin, but it's a toxin. So,
wow.
But terrible stuff. All right, coming up next on our newscast tonight is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Egypt's pyramid builders utilized annual floods, study claims. Yeah, I think that's, a lot of people have come to that conclusion that the pyramids were somehow interacting with water in some manner, possibly the theories of like generating electricity or some kind of energy. So I don't know, excuse me, sorry about that. Recent research has cast new light on how the ancient Egyptians might have constructed the pyramids of Giza. Oh, okay, so they're just talking about building them. How long is this? This is not too long. The last surviving wonders of the ancient world, the pyramids, which tower high above the Egyptian desert, remain a fascinating and awe-inspiring window into time, long lost to history. Exactly how the Egyptians managed to build such enormous structures without the benefit of modern technology has long been the topic of heated debate, with archaeologists disagreeing on how many fundamental aspects of how such a feat could have been achieved. On many, sorry, I misread that. Now, according to a new study, the builders of the pyramids may have taken advantage of the Nile's annual flooding to help them achieve their goals. To enable them to transport such huge blocks of stone to the construction site, the workers may have used the raw power of the rising water levels like a hydraulic lift to raise up stone-carrying rafts. A series of canals and harbors would also have helped to facilitate the process. And to edify the plateau's pyramids, tombs, and temples, it now seems that ancient Egyptians and engineers took advantage of the Nile and its annual floods, using an ingenious system of canals and basins that formed a port complex at the foot of the Giza Plateau, the study authors wrote. However, there is what is a paucity? What's a paucity? Wow. A paucity of environmental evidence regarding when, where, and how these ancient landscapes evolved. While there is certainly little doubt that the Nile would have played an important role in the building of the pyramids, it's unlikely that everyone in the archaeological community will agree on exactly how it was used and the exact process involved in transporting the blocks and moving them into place. Wow.
Wow.
Well, I guess, maybe at some point they'll sort it out, but it could just be aliens. I'm just saying.
No, it's sorted out. It's aliens. No, it's aliens.
It's aliens. They're wrong. Wrong answer. I need a buzzer like that. Wrong answer.
Oh, you should have one.
I'll have to get one. All right. So interesting enough, I guess. Let me just check the time here. We're doing good. Yeah. Yeah. We got
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Because we got till like 27 in order to hit the break. But let's see what we got here from unexplained-mysteries.com. Here is a UFO report. Metallic disc-shaped object photographed, disc-shaped UFO photographed over Mexico. So let's see what it says. Recently released photographs show the quintessential flying saucer over the Mexican state of Tamaulipas. Mexico has certainly seen its fair share of UFO sightings over the years. Mexico City in particular has often been considered a hotspot for the phenomena, especially following a spate of sightings that were reported over the city at the time of a solar eclipse back in the 1990s. This latest sighting, which comes courtesy of an individual named Juanito Juan, reportedly occurred over the Mexican state of Tamaulipas on August 17th. The witness took several photographs at the time showing a reflective metal disc-shaped object in the sky in front of some of the foreboding-looking storm clouds. When viewed together, the pictures provide a suggestion of the object's movements. This photo was taken today, 8/17/22, in the rural area of Tamaulipas by a person who calls himself Juanito Juan during the afternoon of this day when he wanted to take some photos of the storm clouds. He noticed this object and took this sequence of incredible images, the caption states. As things stand, however, little else is known about the sighting, meaning it is difficult to get a concrete picture of the circumstances or the validity of the photographs. You can view the original Twitter post along with a full set of photos below, and I'm going to put a link in the TFR chat because this is a very visual story. And by God, Bam needs to see them. How you doing, Bam? Good to see you, brother. All right, so here's the photos. I guess it's a link. So let me click it. Let's see what happens if I click it. There it is. There's one image there.
Oh,
okay.
Really nice picture.
Do you see it now? Is it a delay?
There it is. I see it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a second picture. It'll come to you guys eventually. The modern technology. And then the third, yeah. I mean, it definitely looks like it's raising up, right? Yeah, it's kind of coming from closer and like it's moving away over these 3 images. So, I mean, I don't know, unless it was just some lucky frisbee throws, and that's not very far away at all. But
I know.
I mean, that's the tough part of these things. It'd be very easy to like throw a hubcap, like an old-fashioned hubcap, and just repeatedly throw it and snap pictures until you got what looks like a sequence. You know, you just don't know, but it could be legit. Again, this isn't like the flying saucer that I saw, because it looks like the top and the bottom come right together, unless they can spread apart or something. I don't know, but very interesting and very cool. I don't know. Believe what you will, folks. We just don't know. We're down to the 3 minutes. Let me get this last story out if I can in the last 3 minutes here, and this is from unexplained-mysteries.com, which is right there. 2 Bigfoot sightings reported in South Carolina this summer. How long is this one? Yeah, I can get it. 2 separate sightings of the elusive Sasquatch were recently submitted to Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. Something strange is roaming the wilderness of South Carolina, at least, that is, if these 2 witness reports, both involving encounters that occurred over the summer, are to be believed. The first, which occurred on July 5th, was reported by a forestry worker who had driven out to a remote part of York County to investigate a power line cut around 2 p.m. He thought something was up when he came across a strange depression in the grass, as though a large animal had been lying there, as well as a very strong foul smell. He then heard what he sounded like something large knocking on a tree trunk a short distance away. Where the hell was that? A short distance away, followed by a correlating series of knocks on another tree trunk as the opposite direction. Could he have stumbled on 2 Bigfoots communicating with one another? The second report, which occurred in Beaufort County on August 2nd, saw a family drive out to visit the lighthouse on Hunting Island State Park when they encountered something unexpected. They'd been driving along the exit road at around noon when they spotted a creature walking upright along the side of the road, which promptly disappeared into the foliage. The height of the creature is estimated as being between 5 and 6 feet tall, not very big. The report states legs are approximately 3 feet long, human-like jointed knee, with dark brown splotchy black hair that was approximately 2 inches long. All 3 passengers witnessed the same thing and were unable to explain what it was. They even reported it to Hunting Island State Park office and were told that an investigation would be initiated. Whether their experience was actually ever looked into, however, remains unclear. So a couple of reports coming out of South Carolina, but we don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm sure if that ever is investigated, we'll never hear about it. we're going to investigate it like this, and they throw it away. I don't know. Maybe they looked into it. But anyway, folks, we're going to go to the first break. So don't go away for more of The Portal in just a moment. such a rookie move. I forgot I was muted, and I unmuted in time to cough. It's like, derp. It happens, folks. Well, not like we're professionals here in any measure of the word, but we have a good time, and hopefully you're having a good time too. If you're new to the show, I'd love to see you get subscribed and stick around and become part of the family. We are an ever-expanding group of fun people, and full of weirdos and wonder, but that's just the way we like it. So love to see you stick around. Hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And yeah, I guess we got more to do, huh, Sheldon?
I would hope so.
So the next part has been kind of a new segment of the shows. I haven't whipped up any kind of intro for it, but I guess I should. But it's the questions of the week, and generally what's happening. It's a way to tie in our Discord community with the live shows, so that there's cohesion between the two, rather than two very separate things going on. So we post a question of the week before every live show, and just to get your guys' feedback on stuff. And so we posted another one and got some feedback from our users over there. And if, feel free to comment on it in the chat here as well after you hear what the question is. But Sheldon, what's the question?
All right, so question of the week for today is: near-death experiences seem to provide proof of the continuation of our consciousness following physical death. However, skeptics say this is simply a chemical dump of the brain, and these are nothing more than hallucinations. What do you think? Our first responder is Android Purity, saying a chemical dump cannot physically predict what's happening in the room or floor next to them while the heart is not beating. If it was just a chemical dump, then some of the near-death experience would not be able to explain what the people were doing in a totally separate floor or separate room when they come back to life. Yeah, I agree. So that debunks their chemical dump theory. I'm sure if you presented that to these scientists, they would then claim that it was staged, hoaxed. They would have to be there and see it happen themselves to believe it, which has happened to many atheist or agnostic doctors and nurses. Turned them religious or spiritual from stories I've heard on some podcast interviews. Yeah, it's true. That's one of I agree with that too. Like how could you explain when these people can see that something rolled under a table while they were out? Yeah, good point. Next response coming from Maggie M10. Maybe it is a chemical dump. Seeing as science cannot explain many things about the brain and consciousness itself, I personally think it is somewhat arrogant, short-sighted, and a way too easy to put it all down to hallucinations. My eternal question is, why do many people seem to see very similar, if not the same things? We are reminded on a regular basis, every person and brain is different and should be respected as such. That we must not all apply blanket statements to all humans and their brains. So why, in the end of life, is it presumed the experiences of people have can be boiled down to a simple one-size-fits-all blanket statement? That these experiences are nothing more than hallucinations. It seems like the easy, safe, and solid answer to a very difficult question. Drawing conclusions when there's a huge part of this that is currently unexplained by science seems somewhat premature. I can see that too. I mean, maybe not all of the near-death experiences are something more. Maybe they are just that simple. But for some of the cases, I think there's too much information, I think. But just my thoughts. Yeah, it's a good point on the other side of the coin. Mm-hmm. Next response, Rachel 101. There's been too many stories of people recounting their experiences with near-death experiences for it to be dismissed as a chemical dump. The chemical dump might occur as a physical boost for the body/soul as it has the near-death experience. We are made up of chemicals in our physical bodies. Why wouldn't the part of science/nature we understand be a part of that which science still hasn't fully grasped? Yeah, good point. Ghostmeg81 says, I believe the DMT that is released supposedly in the brain when you die may help with the transition, but when the decision is made to continue life here on Earth, it is used as the excuse for the scientific world to wrap their brain around something like that cannot be explained. And what do you think, Dad? What do you think about
this is certainly something that we've discussed on the show before, but I love the idea, and I'll be perfectly frank in that I have a confirmation bias on this, because I do believe that we go on. I do believe that there's more to us in the meat suits, that we are still continuing on, that the conscious energy, there's no accounting for what happens to it. You can account for the physical degradation and decomposure, the energy changing form, but there's no accounting for the conscious energy by any measure that we understand. And certainly what the points that were raised in those comments are absolutely valid, I believe, too, because many people having these experiences are seeing themselves, they're seeing what's going on in the room around them as they're allegedly clinically dead. So by clinically dead, I guess that's maybe where the discrepancy comes, is the variable idea of what clinically dead means. But truly being clinically dead means no biological function at all is happening at that moment, or those, for that period of time, so that the person is by all counts and measures done. And then they can be resuscitated, but there's not even conscious activity going on in the head in a true clinical death. And yet people are coming back with these amazing accounts and stories and these amazing experiences that defies clinical understanding. And certainly the tragic part to me is that there's so many people that push back so hard on this. It's almost like they don't want there to be anything else. They don't want it to be true. They want to just be, out like a light bulb. That's it. I'm living this life. I'm living my best life. And then boom, turn me off like a light switch. And that's the end of it. And I don't know why people push back so hard, because what is the harm of people believing that there's more? I guess that's the part that troubles me the most. But yeah, there's plenty of evidence. Raymond Moody did a huge studies. I read several of his books, or at least a couple of his books, where he would examine near-death experiences of children, and very, very profound, extraordinarily profound experiences that really does, the reason that he went after children for the study was because he didn't want people to have the dogmatic expectations. So as adults, we have expectations. Like when I die, Jesus is going to be there waiting for me, or the angels are going to bring me home, or something. We have these ideas of what we can expect, but children don't. They don't really understand anything about it. And yet they still had the tunnel of light experiences. They still had meetings with, relatives that were no longer here, or angelic beings, or religious figures even. And so I think that really lends a lot of credibility to the fact that there's such a continuity between people's experiences. And so, I think it's a real thing. I think that these are little glimpses into what lies beyond for us. And I think that's beautiful. I really do. So,
yeah. And I agree with that too. I mean, one thing that Maggie said is, I may have said, I was hoping to convey that don't have enough experience to put it down to hallucinations. And that's the thing. If there's not enough of a scientific explanation to describe what's happening, why assume it can't be anything else? Why, if you don't have an explanation for it, if you can't measure it,
right,
why shut down all these other ideas? That aspect seems like anti-science, because you come up with a hypothesis and then you test it. But if you can't test it, then all you have is a bunch of hypotheses, which are equally valid in that case.
Sure. Yep.
Andrew Impurity says, maybe they push back so hard because they feel like they weren't a good person in a lot of their life, so they are afraid of the possibility of being judged. Oh, it's a good point too, like personal bias type of thing, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. And that's a good point. I mean, there's there's such a pushback of people when their paradigms are challenged, and that's human nature, I guess. But is it so important to you that you need to try to remove that hope? And that's the damaging part, I think, is that whether or not you believe it is one thing, but because somebody believes something doesn't it doesn't require someone else to debunk it, and why they need to, I don't understand. But yeah, it could be that, if I guess if you're a dick and then you've been a dick your whole life, and then you're looking at what comes next. Yeah, maybe that's a scary thought. So
Yeah.
it's easier
Mm-hmm.
just to, hey, just shut me off, man. I'll be done. There's no, but and maybe that is something very, very profound too. Maybe it's the idea that there's no consequences, because I think oftentimes we think of the next life as it's either a reward or a punishment, depending on, your belief system. I don't necessarily believe in the punishment part, but I think that, maybe people don't like the idea of being evaluated on how well they live their life. And so it's better to be switched off, I guess, for them. Maybe that's true. Good thought,
Yeah.
Android. And good thoughts, everybody. Thank you all for contributing to that. We did have someone in the chat just here and there. If I can find it. I'm sorry. It says just here and there. 66 says, I can remember how I died in a past life. A friend remembers how she died too. Yeah, that's incredibly powerful. Because, wow. I mean, we've got this amnesia that happens if we do indeed relive or live multiple lives, and I believe that that's very possible. Then maybe it'd be nice if we could carry over some of what we learned before, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. But yeah, I think that's very powerful to have a memory from a past life. I think is incredible. I don't know that I have any. I mean, I have some memories in my head. I'm not sure what happened or where they happened, because it doesn't line up with most of my life. But I can't say that that's a past life memory. I just have these weird memories. Someone else said something too, and I got to find it. The Unknown says, I have this dream always. I'm a young kid with my parents, and I went in the river, and I'm under the water, and I can see it so vividly. It's amazing. And then that's it. Wow. So maybe that's a past life memory too. That's pretty cool. Oh, thank you, creating another para classic. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. You guys make this amazing. If you guys weren't here being a part of it, it would just be me and Sheldon talking to ourselves, playing show.
It'd still be fun.
It'd still be fun. I'd still do it. There's no question. I love doing the shows, but it means so much that so many of you enjoy this as well. So thank you for that. That's everything. So remember, the phone lines are open if any of you want to call in and share your own paranormal experiences. By all means, don't worry if I'm reading something or not. It doesn't matter. My priority is always to have discussions with you guys, whether it's through the chat or through the phone, whatever you want to do. So when I've said this a bunch of times, it's probably ridiculous to keep repeating it, but when I thought of the Paranormal Portal, it was going to be a call-in show. That was the whole thing. And maybe that's the easy road. I don't know, but I do love when we can have discussions. And so by all means, call in. The number is pinned to the top comment on YouTube, but it's also on the screen under my face. For those of you on YouTube, you can see it. Thank you, Wes, for that. You're awesome. And it's also for those of you that are out there listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream Live. It is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So if you have a paranormal experience of your own, or you have any comments about what we're talking about, call in. You can be a part of it. Okay, so why is that? Oh, yeah, that's because it's live. Okay, I gotta shut this down. Why is that always up? I get this this updater that wants to keep running. Drives me crazy. Absolutely crazy. So we got a few, many things to go through. I put our memories of deaths in the chat. Oh, you did. Okay, well, let me talk about that as long as let me see where it is. Where? I see there's one. Can you look for those, Sheldon?
I am looking right now.
Okay, so go up to where the last one, I guess. Where was it? After I said wow, if you see where I said wow, anything from just here and there after that, read them.
Okay. Yes. Just there and there 66 says, I could never stand to watch war stories. I saw one on World War II and I remembered being shot on Normandy Beach.
Oof. Is that the first one? I said, there's another one that says, I think the violent deaths we sometimes remember. My friend was afraid of water as a cold, as a cold and won't go in past where she can touch bottom. She remembers drowning. Wow. Yeah. That's powerful.
See, that's something I wonder too, is that if our fears in this life represent something that happened in a past one.
Yeah, it's possible. And so there's also the theory that birthmarks can be physical remnants or a physical indicator of how you died in your past life. And it's interesting. I don't know that I had any birthmarks, but I do know that my youngest son, the minion, he has well, it's pretty much faded now, but on his left side, just at the very bottom, just underneath the rib cage, was this mark, and it was just kind of this birthmark for no reason. He was born cesarean, so it's not like he had got any damage from birth or being helped out. So I thought about that. I was like, wow, could that be an indicator of how he ended his last life, or how it was ended? And so I think that's fascinating too. But yeah, those are great. Thank you guys for all your contributions. Well, also, what is T Bowie saying? I'm commented on my family before. Anyhow, I was told my great grandfather said two beings were at his feet on his deathbed, and to bring him a glass of water, as if it would be his last. And he was gone. He was gone AF. And also, my uncle Gene said the same about two beings being at his feet to bring his glasses and watch, because he wanted to see who was around him and what time he got there. They brought them, and he died. Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Oh, people didn't see. It continued on. He was gone after a drink. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Gotcha. I just saw the AF.
Gone AF. I was like, wow. Okay.
I was like, well, I can't read out that. So I'll stick with the acronym. But no, okay, that's powerful stuff. Yeah, I love it when you guys contribute. Yeah, my son has the exact same birthmark in the exact same place. My brother who was killed in Vietnam. He died before my son was born. That's really powerful. That, we've many times covered stories about that, and that's very interesting, is these kids that remember past lives, and they'd be like, Mommy, I remember when I was your grandpa, or, I remember when I was the daddy of your daddy. And so it does make you think, do our souls, if there is reincarnation, do we continue with the same group of people? And that's really powerful. That's a really powerful possibility, Tracy. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. And the unknown says there's this great documentary where this kid was murdered in his previous life. He was, I believe, 8, and he knew where his body was buried and who the murderer was and where the axe was. Oh, I think I remember hearing this, or we might have covered it on a show. That's really cool. I didn't know there was a documentary though. Yeah, unknown. If you can find the name of that, I'd love to check it out.
The X was hit. I'm the head, and yes, he had a birthmark on the spot.
Unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, there you go. Maybe there is merit to that. I don't know. I mean, I've certainly heard that, and it is curious, right? But
very curious. Yeah.
Today farm. Way to roll, brother. All right, so thank you guys for all those thoughts and contributions and that discussion. I think it's incredibly powerful, and we could certainly do entire shows about just that topic. Maybe I should probably get organized enough to make sure the questions match the material, or build the shows around that question. But yeah, I think it's really cool, really wild stuff. Last light. Got to close the show out from now with "We're Gone AF."
T-Boy, you may have started a trend.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, just T-Boy started a whole thing here. Yep, well, we're going to move on to an article that we've been working through over the past several shows. Well, several of the past recent shows, and it's a thought catalog article. I don't know how much of it is left, but it's 25 ghost stories that might make you believe in life after death. So I guess it ties in, right? And this was written by Emily Madriga, and it's from March 25th of 2020. And again, this is Thought Catalog, and these are aggregated normally. On this one, though, she didn't attribute who the authors were, which is kind of unfortunate, because I do like to give people who wrote them the credit. But even if it is just a Reddit name, those are usually a whole humor line in themselves. But anyway, let's go to this article, and we'll continue on our journey through it. See what you guys think. Starts out. Oh, hold on, I got to take a drink. Glug, glug, glug. All right. I was really young. I would guess about 8 to 10 years old, but that's just a ballpark guess. I shared a room with my younger brother. Our room was very large, and for some reason, we put our bunk beds right in the middle of the room, with the side of the bed facing the doorway, and I had the top bunk. Every morning, our mom would come into our room and wake us up for school. It was the worst feeling. This morning, I remember that feeling too. I'd be like, oh, God. This morning, I had already been awake for some time, just laying in bed, and it was still dark outside. Depending on the time of year, I don't remember it being dark. It being dark when we were getting up for school might have been normal. So I'm sitting there lying on the bed, and the door to our room opens. It doesn't take much effort to turn my gaze to the door. I see a woman in some kind of white gown who I can only assume is my mom, even though I never recall her ever wearing an outfit like that, standing in the doorway. She takes a step in, closes the door behind her, and slowly starts approaching the beds. She gets so close that I'm no longer able to see her because of the angle that I have being on the top bunk. I assume she's going to start waking up my brother at any moment, so I do that kid thing where I shut my eyes and pretend to be asleep. I wait and wait and wait. Well, I finally open my eyes and the door is still closed. I'm super confused at this point, so I lean over the railing to see what she's up to, and there's no one there. I freak out and cover my head with all the blankets and lay there for what felt like quite a bit until I fell asleep. Here it goes. Here it goes. I don't believe in ghosts. I'm sure there's a completely rational explanation for this. Maybe it was my mom, and I just didn't hear her open and close the door to leave again. Maybe there was no one there at all, and I imagined the whole thing. I don't know. It's not a super interesting ghost story, but it's all I've got. It's the only weird story I have from my childhood that I can't explain today. Yeah, I mean, it could be just a fabrication of a young sleepy mind, but what if it's not, right?
That's the question. What if it's not? And it was legitimate.
Right. Now, I think apparitions being clear like that are very rare. I really do. But again, is it, I don't know, a lot of people believe that it takes a lot of energy, and that's why you don't usually see full body apparitions, is it takes a lot of energy to manifest. And I don't know if that's the case or not. I mean, it's anybody's guess. We just don't know, and people just throw theories out there. But if that is the truth, then yeah, I suppose maybe it'd be very rare that they'd want to expend so much energy on one thing. But could just be that the person was in that right state and had a time slip and saw another time. Maybe. All right. Maybe, right? All right, let's go to the next one. And this is, my family moved into a somewhat older house on a lot of land when I was 7. We had the most wonderful Akita at the time, a breed known for protecting its family. My dad traveled a lot, so my mom would often be home with just us kids and the dog. One day we got home from wherever, and Pluto is at the top of the stairs growling, refuses to go down there. My mom naturally feared that someone had broken in, so she made me, my older brother, and my little sister go sit in the car with 10-year-old brother in the driver's seat, telling us if she isn't back in 10 minutes to leave and find somewhere to call the police. This was before cell phones. She ventured back into the house with a knife. Come back out a few minutes later and hadn't found anything, so we went on with our lives. Ooh, there's the bell. All right, folks, we're going to go to the hour break. We'll be right back for more of the Paranormal Portal in just a minute. Do not go away. You are not excused. We'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
So we do a whole hour of the show, and what does the chat remember? The wet spot at Area 51. Those weren't my those were not my words. That was the freaking article. It could just be a weird aircraft, or it could be a wet spot on the runway. That's what it said. I did not editorialize that at all. Just for the record, just so we're clear on this. So we're clear. You guys are telling on me to Don. What the heck? What kind of deal is this? All right, but good to see you, Don. Thanks for coming in, brother. Good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that may not know, next week there will not be regular shows. We will not be streaming live on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday nights because Don and I are going to be otherwise predisposed. Or is that right? Predisposed. Yeah. Because we are going to... Dun, 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 dun. As I drag it over to the window, we are going to Phenomicon, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming up on September 8th through the 11th, and this is in Vernal, Utah. So if any of you are in the neighborhood or would want to come to the neighborhood, you can check it out. There is a whole truckload of amazing speakers and talent that's going to be showing up, including us. You know, we're part of that talent, but we're not headlining or anything, but we're going to be there. But Dr. Jeff Meldrum will be there. Russ Accord and Ronnie LeBlanc and Dr. Maria Mayer of Expedition Bigfoot will be there. Thomas Witherton, Bryant Dragon Arnold, Dr. Travis Taylor, and Caleb Bench, all from Eric Bard. And we'll all be there. They are from the Mysteries at Skinwalker Ranch, which is a really cool series. I just watched the first season of it on Netflix, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. If you haven't seen it, I do suggest checking it out. Again, it's a series, so I don't know what's legitimate and what is embellished, but it's a fantastic story, of course, covering some of the strange oddities that are happening at Skinwalker Ranch, and I can't wait to check out season 2. I don't know what season they're on now on the live show, but I don't watch regular TV. I might binge watch series when they come out, and I did check that out. So if you haven't seen it and you have Netflix, check it out. The Mysteries at Skinwalker Ranch is great. They also have Adam Davis is going to be there. He's a fantastic guy. He's been on several television shows and has a book out, Adam Davies World Explorer. Or no, that's his DVD he's got out. But fantastic guy. Don and I have talked and met him several times. Really good person. And several others, including James Vieira, who is, of course, the giant guy looking for ancient giants evidence, archaeological evidence of giants in the past. So very cool stuff. It's just going to be a great time. April Slaughter is a paranormal investigator, and to be honest, I'm not sure about everybody that's listed here, but I know that they are really drawing the best of the best to come over to this. And if you look at phenomicon.net, you will see not only all of this, but also the schedule of events. Again, it's happening in Vernal, Utah. So I hope you guys, if you're there, if you can get there, it'd be great, if you could, because you can hang out with Don and I a little bit. So that's on the agenda for next week. That's why we won't be doing live regular shows. We will just be on the road. We're going to be on the road. So we'll stream live when we can, though. So stay tuned. And that's one of the reasons to ring the bell. If you ring the bell and you're subscribed on YouTube, we will be doing impromptu live streams there. But there is a regular show tomorrow, so just so you know. That'll be for the entire next week.
And we have a caller, it seems.
We do. All right.
Aha.
Let's just find out what's going on here. Let me get my windows all situated here, and we'll get to the call. And let me pull up this. All right. The caller is our very own Ruger, it looks like. Ruger, are you here?
Hey.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Hey, Ruger.
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear, man.
Okay. I was going to type this story, but, it would have been ready by the next Wednesday show. So, and half of it would be misspelled, of course.
Oh, well.
So I will just, this is a rare treat. I will hand you over to Miss Ruger.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Yep. Hang on.
Okay.
Hey.
Hi, Miss Ruger. How are you?
Hi. How are you guys?
We're doing good, thank you.
Amazing.
What's going on tonight?
Good. Well, I want to tell a story. You had mentioned the one about the boys in the bunk bed seeing the apparition.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was 4 years old, we lived, well, I can't tell you where we lived.
Okay.
We lived in a town in Missouri.
Okay.
And I was 4 years old. My little brother was 2. We shared a bedroom.
Okay.
I woke up one night and I saw a lady. There was no details. She was just a creamy white, but I could tell she had kind of shortish hair and she was wearing a dress.
Oh, wow.
She walked in our room. She went over to my brother's crib and bent over the crib like she was checking on him. Well, I woke up, thought it was my mom, because my mom had short hair. She wore dresses.
Uh-huh.
And so I woke up and I'm saying, Mom, and this lady never turned around, never acknowledged me at all, and kept, just kind of bent over the crib. And I'm saying, Mom, because I think she's ignoring me.
Right.
And she just turned around and walked right back out of the bedroom.
Oh, jeez.
And so I'm like, Mom! And so I was screaming till my mom actually woke up and come in to ask what was wrong. She said she wasn't in there.
Ooh.
So, okay.
Wow.
So, never really said much else about it. I was 4 years old. Maybe I was dreaming. Who knows? So, several years back, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were at Thanksgiving. And we got to talking about ghosts for some reason. I don't know. Thanksgiving dinner, we're talking about ghosts.
Sure.
But I asked my mom, I said, well, do you remember, way back when I was 4, and I started telling the story. And my mom got this really funny look on her face, because she don't talk about ghosts. She don't talk about stuff like that. But she got this funny look on her face, and she said, no, I actually don't remember that. But right before that happened, we had lived in another house in another town in Missouri.
Oh.
And I was sick. And my mom was sleeping on the couch so that she could hear me if I was to wake up and need anything.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually woke up, Brent, and saw the exact same lady come out of my bedroom.
Wow.
Like she had been in there checking on me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And of course, Terry and I just looked at each other because, for one, I couldn't believe my mom even admitted seeing that.
Right.
But that had taken place before I saw the same lady, I don't know what else to call her, guardian angel.
Sure. Yeah.
It had taken place in a different house, a different town than when I saw it looking over my brother.
Wow.
And my mom and I saw the exact same. It had to be a guardian angel. I don't know,
Sure.
why else would she'd been checking on.
Yeah.
And my brother at the time, when he was, when she checked on him, he was born with double hernias.
Oh dear. Oh.
And he had just been scheduled for surgery.
Uh-huh.
So, in a way, I guess, I mean, he wasn't really sick, but he was getting ready to have surgery when I saw her checking on him.
Oh.
And then I was sick with, I think Mom said strep or something. I don't know. I don't remember. But we were both sick, and the exact same lady
was checking on you. Yeah.
checked on both of us. But I saw her the one time, and my mom saw her the first time. But neither one of us really realized we saw the same person.
That's really cool. And you know, you got to wonder.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, so could it be like a grandmother or great-grandmother or an ancestor of some kind? You know, because, and not that it couldn't be an angel. I mean, it certainly could be, but what was coming to my mind was, well, I wonder, because you said it reminded you enough of your mom that you said mom. Like it looked kind of like it could have been her. So just makes me wonder if there isn't a maternal, ancestor that's sticking around you guys, watching over you as well.
Yeah. I mean, it possibly, at the time, I had both sets of grandparents were still alive,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and one set of great-grandparents were alive. So, possibly the other set. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've asked Mom.
Okay.
Do you have any idea who it could have been? And she did.
Did she see
But
any more features than you did, or did she see the milky same, just basically an ambiguous female? Did she see any more?
The same.
Okay.
All
right.
The same. Because
Wow.
when I was describing it, I saw my mom's face, and she just looked so weird. And yeah, she saw. It was the same thing. It was just a milky white, but you could tell that she was wearing a dress.
Yeah.
And had the short hair.
Sure.
But it just seemed so weird that she was in the same house, or she was in two different houses in two different towns.
Yeah.
And these towns were probably what, Terry? They're probably 80, 90 miles apart.
Oh yeah. So it's not like even next door or something. Yeah. This is a whole different area.
No.
So it definitely is
Whole
attached to the
different
family.
area.
Yeah, it definitely is attached to the family.
Yeah.
What did you
And that's the only time we ever saw her. I was sick, and my brother was sick, and then never seen her again.
Well, that's good though, right?
Yeah, probably a good reason.
I guess. I mean, she didn't hurt nobody.
Sure.
She just kind of flew in and
but
or drifted in and checked on my brother, and
yeah.
I seen her lean over the crib.
Wow.
Which is why I thought it was my mom.
Right.
And then when my mom woke up, she just happened to wake up and see her coming out of my room. So
wow.
I don't know what she did with me in my room. Mom couldn't see that, but she seen her come out of the bedroom.
That's really cool.
And then just kind of fade into nothing.
There was a story that was on this. It was My Celebrity Ghost Stories. There used to be a series that was on, and one of the people that was on the show was an Olympic skater. And I think a very successful one, and I don't remember the name anymore, but I think it was a male, and he had a terrible accident when he was a teenager, and really messed his legs up or something like that, and he went he went through all the treatment and stuff, and ended up going to like physical therapy, and he'd go to the physical therapy place, and apparently this person came out dressed in like an older style outfit, but would take him into this room and did nothing but just continually doing real deep range of motion and massagey kind of things, and repeatedly did this and until the person got all the way better. And then the I guess the prognosis initially wasn't real positive that he'd be returning. I think it was a male. It might have been a female, but anyway, it's in my memory anyway. But had gone through these treatments with this person, and went back, I guess, after the point and said you know, you guys were wonderful. Thank you so much. And they were like, well, you never showed up for any of your appointments. And he was like, what? No, no,
Wow.
I was here. And he said, I was in that room over there. Went back there and said, no, that's not a room. That's like a storage area. And
Oh, wow.
so this person, I guess, thought it was maybe his grandmother, that was I don't know, she was some kind of nurse or something, and had worked with him repeatedly until he was able to, you know, get back to normal health. And it's like, wow, right? Those are just some, and I'm probably butchering the hell out of the story, but the whole concept that maybe that's what the situation was with you guys, is that this spirit, this angel or being showed up when you needed that extra help, you know? So.
Yeah, that's, and you know, thinking back, I don't know, you know, she would have been dressed like a nurse. I don't know why she would have come to us and go from house to town with us, but yeah,
that's
well,
awesome.
Actually, Terry just reminded me we've seen a nurse here at our home where we're at now.
Wow.
Well, he has. I haven't. He has.
Well, I think it's great. It sounds like you got some pretty amazing angels or beings looking over you guys. So that's pretty powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah. So anyhow.
Well, thank you so much for.
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah, whenever he was telling that story, I said, hey, I actually have a story for that one. And Terry says, yes, you do.
Oh, very cool.
So,
and it's really cool, too, that you just happen to be having. That's why I love talking about this stuff, is because, you know, if you get into a discussion with people, I think for the most part, people just hang on to this stuff. But if you can engage that discussion and share some interesting ideas, you may never have heard that story from your mom if you weren't having this conversation with her. So that's really cool.
Exactly. Because like I said, my mom's not one to really talk about stuff like that, or you know, and I was really shocked. We both were, that she even admitted it. But we could tell, you know, and she just kept. She goes, well, and so then she began telling me, and I'm like, you're kidding me. She said it was. She said it was the exact same thing here. The exact same thing.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Mrs. Luger, for sharing it with us and being a part of the show.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have a good evening.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
You as well.
Bye.
That's really cool. I think those are incredibly powerful.
Beautiful story. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody could use someone looking over them like that, you know? Maybe we do have it. Maybe we all do, but just for whatever reason, they were able to perceive it. Maybe that's a family trait, though, too. A lot of ability runs through family lines, you know, like, of course, psychic awareness seems to be familial going through family lines. So, maybe you've all got it over there. And very cool story. Awesome. All right. So I was interrupted on that story by the break. The break kind of came up and hit us sideways, but that's just because I'm not clock watching. My bad, but I guess we should get back to that, huh?
I think it's a good plan.
All right, let's get into it, unless there was no other calls. Nope, we're good. Okay, let's see. So I may just... let me just reread the story, because it's going to be too awkward to try to pick it up where it was. But anyway, here's the story. My family moved into a somewhat older house on a lot of land when I was 7. We had the most wonderful Akita at the time, a breed known for protecting its family. My dad traveled a lot, so my mom would often be home with just us 3 kids and the dog. One day we got home from wherever, and Pluto is at the top of the stairs growling, refuses to go down there. My mom naturally feared someone had broken in, so she made me and my brother and my little sister go sit in the car with 10-year-old brother in the driver's seat, telling us if she isn't back in 10 minutes to leave and find somewhere to go call the police. This is before cell phones. Like, she was expecting the 10-year-old to drive. That's pretty cool. And she ventured back into the house with a knife. Came back out a few minutes later and hadn't found anything, so we went on with our lives. Many, many years later, once we had reached adulthood, my parents revealed to us that someone had previously hung himself in the unfinished portion of the basement where the laundry room was. My poor brother's room was in that basement. Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, it's probably a good thing to let it out after the fact. But when we lived in that house is when he first began to have issues. Oh, he's now deceased after many years of drug addiction. Oh. I'm fairly convinced that house was haunted. Yeah, that's tragic. You know, and sometimes that could be some form of oppression, you know.
Yeah.
The whole idea of targeting one person, just, you know, not letting any sunlight come through to them. It's just such a dark and horrible thing to deal with oppression. And I think, you know, it doesn't surprise me. People turn to chemicals just because they just feel that heavy weight all the time. So unfortunately, that person didn't get the help they needed, but not good. All right, the next one. Here's one of my experiences. We've got 5 minutes left. Wow, that's awesome.
Oh my God.
Here is one of my experiences that has stuck with me since I was a kid. I grew up in a house that had this creepy Indian bust of a head and shoulders, and it looked as stereotypical as you can imagine, but something was sinister about it. So for years, my bedroom was just outside by this, and I swear that it watched me all the time. It wasn't a trick of the light, it wasn't my imagination, and it was real. One night, I saw it looking at me. I was coming in from the movies and my parents were asleep. I saw this thing staring at me. It's cold, bronze looking, not so much at me, but right into my very soul. It blinked, and its mouth moved. I froze and couldn't move. I couldn't scream. All I could do was stare back at this hideous statue, looking at me until my body allowed me to move. I've never felt such malice and evil intent radiated off anything in my entire life. Some years later, my parents died and my house was sold off, and I never found out what happened to that bust, but I rest a lot easier knowing that it is hopefully destroyed and rotting in some landfill. So that's a curious thing because, of course, I think there's plenty of reason to believe that, you know, spirits can attach to an object. And certainly the fact that it's an object with a face makes it even more diabolical because I don't know that the statue actually moved at all. I mean, but there's lots of reports like that. And they're very rare, but people see things that are moving, like even like a rigid statue. There's all kinds of stories of people seeing them blink and looking around and such. And I think it's probably more of a psychic illusion than anything, but it's definitely doesn't make it any less creepy because it does seem that there are intelligences that just do things like that just for whatever sick reason, I guess. But
have you ever had a situation where you felt something just dark while holding or looking at an object, like object presence type of thing?
Not me personally, but I mean, I've certainly felt that in places. Like I've been in places that I was just like, oh no, there's something not right about this at all, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know that I ever was able to narrow it down to any one object. It was just, usually when I get those vibes, it's just like, yeah, no, this is not a place I want to be. And I leave. And that's where I guess having, you know, a bit of an empathy, I think helps us in those situations. I think that when we're in the presence of evil, we can sense it. I think that we, you know, it's just some part of our soul can just feel that darkness and it transcends, you know, the rational mind. It's just, you know, we just know. I mean, it's just the same kind of thing. Like you meet somebody and you love them right away and there's no really understanding why. You just know that this is a great person and you want to be around them, you know? And I think it's a lot like that. Same type of phenomena, but just different ends of the spectrum. There's also people I've met and just been, I don't like this person. I don't want to be around this person. I just need to be away from this, you know? And so it certainly could be the case with objects or areas as well. I think that we do just have an innate sixth sense to detect that kind of stuff. But yeah, pretty freaky stuff for sure. Agreed. Have you, Sheldon?
No, kind of like you. It more just areas where you get like a weird feeling, but never an object. No.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly held objects that just vibrated in my hand, like a physical vibration. In fact, I was just talking to Julia the other day, and she was talking about having that kind of reaction with crystals. And now if you're into crystals, I think that's a great barometer for you to tell if that's a crystal you need. Like if you go to a crystal shop, handle every kind of crystal that you can. And when you feel that vibration, then I think that's just such a cool resonance. And maybe that's what you need. I don't pretend to understand how that stuff works, but that's just the way it is. So, we're going to go to the last break. It's just flying by tonight, folks, but don't go away. Still a half hour to go, so we'll get right back after these messages. That's an interesting take. Ghost Magnet says, I wonder if our thymus gland has something to do with our intuitive abilities. And I ask because we all know kids are more intuitive and they have big thymus glands, and it gets smaller as we age. Wow. I had not heard of that, but that's fantastic. That would make sense. I don't know much about our thymus or even what it does, but that's if that indeed is what happens, that's a very powerful correlation. Perhaps it is. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look up thymus now. Do you know what it is, Sheldon? Sheldon, I think you're muted.
Oh, that explains everything now. Okay, yeah, I just said it's a gland.
Yeah, but what does it do?
I don't know.
It's a lymphoid organ situated in the neck of vertebrates that produces T cells for the immune system. The human thymus becomes much smaller at the approach of puberty. Wow. Could it be?
Well, even on top of that, I think Ghost Magnet's onto a good point, because I wonder if some of our organs, or I don't know, other areas of our body do things that we can't measure. Like even gut feelings, that really bad feeling you get when you feel like something bad's about to happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if that comes from, I've read this, that your eye is like a second brain to you. And I wonder if it also detects things in the spiritual sense, but
your eye?
It's just huh?
You said our eyes are like a second brain?
No, I'm sorry, our gut.
Yeah.
Our gut acts like a second brain, and I wonder if, and that's, the gut is where you feel like those bad feelings and whatever. I wonder if it's something detecting,
Right.
That's a thought I've had. I wonder about that.
Yeah, it could very well be. I've heard that reference as well about our stomachs, that it's like our second brain, and there's a lot more than just digestion going on there. And yeah, it makes sense. Our gut biome is important too. It's interesting because there's lots of things that can be wrong with our digestive system, and I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with the uber processed foods and stuff. And I'm not a health nut, folks. I'm like probably the unhealthiest guy. For most of my life, Coca-Cola was my beverage, and that just means for everything, every day, every time of the day. You'd always see me with the Coca-Cola, eating junk food, eating Hamburger Helper. I for most of my life, I really didn't do a very good job mitigating healthy living. I used to, almost be a chain smoker. It's decisions that you make, or choices, mostly out of convenience, just because it's easy to eat poor in this country and in most of the world. It's easy to eat bad because you just got to drive through somewhere and get something to eat. But I think that the ramifications of that probably have to do with the gut biome and all that is damaged by this kind of a lifestyle and diets that we're used to in our Western worlds. And so, if it is our second brain, then, we're really doing probably a lot of damage. Yep.
True.
Yeah.
I need to help my back up.
I know. It's like, yeah, this is your gut, the egg thing. This is your gut on fast food, frying the egg. Yeah. I'm just saying that stuff is probably not much more than poison, really, but it's damn good, though. That's the problem.
It is. Ghost Magnet says some adults that are more intuitive have bigger thymus glands. I will find the study and send it to you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's fantastic correlation. Of course, the thing is we just don't know a lot of things, and I'm certain that if that is indeed a correlatable, item, then we really don't understand everything it's doing. So far as I could tell from what I just looked up, it was just to boost the immune system, to produce T cells and stuff. So the fact that's it's weird is that. So if it makes T cells and stuff, and it's part of the lymphatic system, our bodies are, spiderweb with these lymph nodes mostly on the left side of our body and in our neck and stuff. But maybe they act as a receptor in some way as well. So very curious, very cool correlation. If you pat your thymus, it is a calming effect. That's how I used to soothe my children. It's located in the chest. Oh, okay. Very cool. Android says, ever think about our brain does not have the ability to tell us about itself, like how it works and everything? Yeah. That's, I guess it's because like everything else in this world, it exists physically, it exists energetically, but we've lost, maybe we had that ability at one time and we lost that ability to just to know because we're observing it. Like we could plug into the energy of things around us and just know things, that whether that's similar to the Akashic records kind of things, like everything has an Akashic record of itself and you don't really need to discover it. You just got to tune into it. I don't know. Very interesting thoughts though. Great comments. Brent said throat. Yeah. I said, didn't I say throat? Was it not throat?
No, you said throat. Someone was saying it was in the chest. I think that's what they're
for the lymph nodes? The thymus probably is. I don't know where that is. I didn't even know what it... I mean, I'd certainly heard the term thymus before, but it says, where's the thymus gland located? The thymus gland is in the chest between the lungs. It makes white blood cells, T lymphocytes, which are part of the immune system and help fight infection. The thymus gland is in the chest between the lungs and between the breastbone, which is the sternum. It is just in front of and above the heart. Wow, very interesting. Yeah, I learned something new tonight. Thank you, guys. I mean, I learn something new on every show because I think, nobody knows it all, but now I know what a thymus is and where to find it. So tap it on your chest. Huh, interesting. I did not know that. I would have been tapping you on the chest a bunch, Sheldon.
Whatever.
He's good for calming kids down.
I wasn't crazy.
No, you weren't. You're a pretty mellow kid. Your whole entire life, as a matter of fact. All right, I want to get to what?
It's true.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
It is. I want to get to a couple Phantoms and Monsters reports here because I like throwing in some cryptids into the mix, and there's more to that article. We'll cover more of it tomorrow on the Saturday show, but there's a couple Phantoms and Monsters reports. This is again Lon Strickler's site. It's a great site. It's also his home base for all the things that Lon does, including his books and including his podcast, which is Phantoms and Monsters podcast. So you can find all of that over at phantomsandmonsters.com. So check it out. Support what he's doing over there. He's doing some cool things, and it's been a pillar of the paranormal community forever, like literally. But here's a report from August 15th, and it is as follows. Black crawler humanoid observed in Galloway Township, New Jersey. I don't know what a black crawler humanoid is. That's the other part of the cryptids that really kind of trips me out, is there's so many varied descriptions of what people are seeing that it doesn't all seem like just one or two or three things. It seems like there's this whole catalog of things that are wandering around our world that we're either not at all aware of or very little awareness of them. And I've never heard of a black crawler humanoid before, so I was like, ooh, we got to dig into this and find out what's going on. So it says a New Jersey teen was home watching TV when they noticed a pair of eyes peering through the sliding glass door. They later heard a shriek and discovered a black crawler humanoid. The following account was recently forwarded to me. I lived in Galloway Township, New Jersey, and I know about the Jersey Devil, Pine Barrens, and that sort of stuff. And I'm also not really a believer, but I'm not a total skeptic either. I'm sure it's possible for monsters and ghosts to exist, but without having much experience, I don't know. Anyway, one night in 2015, I was home alone. I was 16 years old and my parents worked pretty late and didn't get home until 3 or 4 a.m. I was used to it. No siblings, just a dog and 5 cats, so I had the house to myself. I'm laying on the couch watching TV and I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. Another pair of eyes looking at me through the sliding glass door, and at first I just assumed it was an animal or something. We get possums a lot at night, so I didn't think much of it. 5 minutes go by and I hear this weird clawing at the door. My living room was fairly large, TV's just in front of me. Then a couple of feet away is the dining room table and another sliding glass door that leads to my back porch and yard. The thing was on the porch. I got up to investigate, first by flicking the light switch on, and immediately it scrambled off the porch. It seemed to be afraid of light, scared of light. So I turned it off and grabbed a flashlight. It wasn't there, so I continued to assume an animal and went back to the couch. An hour goes by, and I hear this loud shriek coming from the yard. This time, getting scared, I jumped up and ran with the flashlight. I dimmed it down by taking my index finger and middle finger and kind of coiled it along the light, still making it visible, but not as bright. I shone it around the yard, and the thing was still there. But this time it was eating something. It looked to be small, like a rabbit. Where I live, there's a ton of coyotes, so maybe one had strayed, but again, that shriek was awful, and not something I've ever heard come from a coyote's mouth. This thing was human, or close to it anyway. The skin was black and kind of wrinkled. It had long limbs and seemed to be in a crouch position most of the time, but it was extremely fast. I got scared and shone the light at it directly, and it again screamed and dashed off into the woods. Good Lord.
Jeez.
I stayed up until my parents came home. I didn't tell them yet, just in case if it was something silly. I went to bed, and for the rest of the night, nothing about it came up. Any idea what this thing is? Any help or advice is greatly appreciated. I'm an animal lover, so I don't want my cats and dogs outside one day and then getting devoured by God knows what's out there. Yeah, that's the curious part. Ugh. So
did it have fur? Did it, like, there's not a lot. All I know is it's black, it's got wrinkly skin, it's on fours, and it shrieks.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it just the color of the flesh is black, and it didn't sound like it was hairy. Like it's like one of those bald cats, except much bigger and looking like a person. That's just horrid. I don't know. That's just all kinds of creepy because, again, what is it? What the hell's going on there? What do you think, Sheldon?
Would it fit a description of like a rake or something similar to that, or like a ghoul?
Except that it's got black skin, which is absolutely unique as far as the reports I understand go. I mean, most of the ghoul and rakes were very pale, pale skinned, white or pale skin, and I don't know. I mean, it could be the rake version or the ghoul version of melanism or whatever that occurs in nature, much like an albino kind of thing. It's just a weird variant, genetic recessive genes or something that just has this weird, unique one that comes out. But I don't know. It's just such a weird report. I think the whole crawler thing really, to me, is extraordinarily creepy because you don't know if it's humanoid enough to have intelligence, or is it absolutely just this feral beast? You know, there's nothing known about them as far as I know.
There's the thought that at one point all that separated the two of them was just this thin glass sheet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I think it's interesting. And again, these are strange anomalies. I don't know how many things are out there. It's literally, if you can imagine it, there's some version of it running out there. Now, I don't know. I mean, that really does disturb me, though. These crawler reports really do sincerely disturb me.
Android Purity says, I think of ghosts of Carmel, Maine when I think of black crawlers. That thing in his window. Yeah,
but that was almost not physical, though. I mean, I unless it's an episode I hadn't seen, but I'd seen he caught. Well, it was more like a shadow being, like a shadow person or being that he kept catching in his house, Sheldon, you're probably not familiar with it, but it's a series on YouTube. And if you go check out the Ghosts of Carmel, Maine, the guy's caught some phenomenal, unless he's a CGI genius or something, I don't know. I mean, it's literally like he's caught some pretty outstanding things as he's investigating his own property. But it's creepy as hell. Yeah, true. It wasn't physical. Never heard of physical black crawler before the story. Me either. It's a very unique story, a very unique take. Now, again, is it necessarily true? Well, no. I mean, it could just be a fabrication. Somebody coming up with a different spin on a common or a more common storyline. But
could be.
But what if it's not? What if it's not?
Yeah, that's
so.
That's terrifying, actually.
Yeah, but if
I prefer it being fake.
But I would encourage any of you out there that are into this paranormal stuff to check out the Ghosts of Carmel, Maine. He's got a couple, I think he's got some highlights, reels that he's put together, highlighting a lot of his best evidence and stuff. And he's really caught some absolutely creepy stuff going on. The kind that would make you just want to go back home. You don't even want to be there. So what basically is he sees the shadow in the window in this experience that Android is referring to. And it looks like this weird shadow on this otherwise sheer curtain. And he's like, oh yeah, I caught you now. And he's walking towards it. And suddenly that shadow darts from the window and goes boom right under the bed. And it's just like, oh my God, like in a blink, it's just boom. And there is motion to it, so it's pretty creepy. But he's also caught standing apparitions in there of a shadow being. It's very creepy stuff. Or maybe misidentification. Maybe it looks physical to them. Yeah, maybe. That's true too. I mean, could shadow people manifest to a physical degree? I suppose. Why not? And maybe that's what it would look like, something like this. But it was eating. I mean, this thing was eating some kind of small critter in the yard. So it seems to be physical, at least on some degree. So very weird, but creepy story. But special thanks to Lon for letting us cover it. And we'll go on to the next one from Phantoms and Monsters. And this is another humanoid. And it was emaciated, shape-shifting humanoid observed 3 times by the same witness. Ugh. It sounds like another crawler. So let's see what this one says. An eyewitness recalls 3 sightings of an unknown black, emaciated, shape-shifting humanoid in 3 different locations. Again, the black color. These are the only 2 stories I've ever come across with this. But the sightings were in New Hampshire, Florida, and Virginia. Bizarre account. Could they be extraterrestrial? Maybe. I mean, that's almost it's almost a better possibility, because then you'd think they're at least intelligent. The following account was referred to me. It says, I saw a thing in or near the woods on 3 separate occasions now. Each time I saw the thing, it was in a different state along the east coast of the United States. And each time the sighting was fleeting. I'm in my 30s now, and the sightings have several years between them. The first time I saw it was in high school, and it was most definitely the time that I got the longest look at it. The second time I only caught a glimpse, and I'm pretty sure, but not entirely sure, that it was the same thing. The third time I got a clear look at it from a distance, but it caught me so off guard that I stumbled as I was taking a step and lost sight of it. I've been calling it a thing because I have no idea what it is, and quite honestly, I don't even have a good guess either. It was not a Sasquatch, a wild man, a rake, a lizard person, or any other creature that I've found through my incredibly frustrating recent internet research on the subject matter. Maybe a shapeshifter of some kind, because the first time I saw it, the thing changed its form for sure. Yes, I said it changed its form. You can go ahead and leave now if you like. This is the first time I had put any of this out there to anyone, and if it weren't for this last encounter, I would have forgotten about the first 2 again. I've never mentioned this to anyone because of how ridiculous it sounds. At this point, though, I only want to get this off my chest to hopefully find out if anyone else has ever seen this thing. First sighting, southern New Hampshire, 2000 or 2001, summer, probably. I don't remember exactly when. Well, after midnight. I'm going to take some time to explain the first encounter as much detail as I can recall, even though it all happened so fast. Literally lasting in total maybe 10 seconds. It's still the longest amount of time I've spent truly looking at the thing. I was walking to a friend's house from the apartment complex I lived in late at night. To get from one place to the other quickly, you had to cut through a small patch of forest, roughly 100 yards, and was technically someone else's property. A couple of times before, we had someone shine a light on us, and once he fired a shot in the air to try and scare us in an attempt to get us to stop cutting through. It never did stop us. It did, however, teach me to be stealthier when cutting through, and so on this night I was creeping very quietly through the trees as I went. The forest was in a valley between my apartment complex, some houses, and the neighborhood where my friend lived. The valley dipped down in the middle with a steep incline surrounding it. So at first I had to go down into the valley, and then at the end I would walk up out of the valley, exiting the tree line right into the street where his house is. Once exiting the tree line, I would be standing on the side of the street with the end of the road about a half a mile to your right and the entrance to the neighborhood about the same distance on the left. The houses were spaced apart decently, so the night was very dark except for the area around the houses and a couple of light circles under the orange streetlights, of which there were very few for the amount of space. I got through the valley with no problem this time, and I got up some speed to go up the hill in front of me where the forest ended, maybe 5 feet from the edge of the street, if even that far. At the exact moment I came out of the tree line and into the edge of the road, something caught my eye to the left of me, emerging from the woods across the street. It stumbled awkwardly out of the dark woods and into the view right at the edge of the circle of orange light radiating down from one of the streetlights. At first, and just for a brief moment, it looked like a shadow. However, I heard a sound coming from the dead leaves beneath its feet, and I quickly realized that it was not a shadow. Its body shape was like that of a starving child, maybe 3 feet tall, that you might see in a third world country, but its legs and arms were so thin that there appeared to be no way it could support the creature's body weight. It was dark, but from what I can remember, at the ends of the frail-looking limbs were just nubs. No hands and no feet that I saw. Its movements were the creepiest part, honestly, and they were the first thing that threw me off, and I can't even really explain how absurd and unnatural its movements were, or how it was standing on those tiny legs. It moved forward from the trees and toward the street, extremely awkwardly, with a couple of steps that I saw it take. It was almost as if it was not supposed to be walking around like that, but it had somehow figured out a way to do so regardless. The thing was roughly 2 or 3 feet tall with an enlarged light bulb-shaped head and a little belly in spite of how thin the rest of the frame was. In addition to its shape and motion, the thing seemed unreal mostly because it didn't seem to reflect any light at all. When it stepped into the light of the street lamp, it appeared to have no three-dimensional form at all with its body, almost blending right into its shadow, and I could only really tell it had solid form by the way it moved and navigated the environment around it. I froze in place instantly when I saw it, with my brain unable to even process what I was seeing. In a couple of steps, it exited the trees, stumbled across the patch of grass to the street, and then sort of fumbled down towards the sewer drain on the side of the road. I'm not sure what I did, if anything, but as soon as it hit the curb, it rose back up and looked over at me, and I couldn't see its face or anything at all. Still, just this bizarre black shape moving so unbelievably awkwardly. I really can't stress this enough. Its movements were ridiculously uncoordinated. What happened next is what sent me fleeing into the woods with all my cowardice that has kept me alive to this day. Oh, we're not going to have enough time. We're down to a minute, but if you're on YouTube, we'll just finish up here on TFR. Actually, I'm going to stop here, and we'll finish the story on YouTube because we won't have enough time on the network, so just bear with me here while we get done. For those of you listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the journey. Sorry I couldn't finish this story for you, but thank you for being a part of what we're doing, and we hope to see you tomorrow night right here at the same time once again. So If you are listening and you want to hear the rest of it, go to youtube.com/paranormal portal. I'll be finishing up this story in just moments. But Sheldon, anything in closing for the network?
Well, for the network, I can't I can't send them a message for the Discord, but if you guys want to join the Discord and get in the discussions and the weekly questions, join the Discord right here. I'll put it in the YouTube chat if you come over, and you can get the link there.
All right. Well, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. All right. Continuing on to YouTube into overtime to finish this story. So thank you all in TFR. Love you bunches. Have a great night. And I got to pull this up here. Hold on. I'm going to pull this up like this, and like this. And then I'm going to remove it. Boom. All right, so those of you on YouTube, we're going to continue on because I can't just stop it there. That just wouldn't be right.
No way.
That would not be right. So you guys get a little bit of overtime because of my bad time management skills. Hope you enjoy it. All right, so here we go. We're going to continue on this story. So he saw this malformed shadow thing, and this is the part he said that freaked him out the most. So let's continue right here. Okay. Upon seeing me, this malformed shadow child thing did this quick twisted turn toward me, dropping down to all fours and becoming a much more animal-like shape when it did. I again have no idea how to describe the motion, as it was so unnatural, but when its turn was complete, the thing had become something I can only describe as a shadow dog, cat, bear. I know that sounds crazy, but I can't describe it any other way than that. It stood on all fours like a predatory animal, but I couldn't make out any definition on it with the way it didn't catch the light that it was standing directly below. This thing, it didn't just go from being human-like to being human on all fours. I mean, it genuinely became something else as far as I can tell. I debated leaving this next part out because it just slices into the credibility of the events even further, but it happened. And so here it goes. As soon as the creature had hit all fours and was no longer humanoid, its eyes flashed yellow at me. And it let out a loud shriek, not a growl, not a bark, not a snarl, not an animal-like roar or even a hissing, but a legitimate shriek that sounded like neither a person nor an animal. The sound started quiet and then rose quickly, almost as if it was winding up or under pressure and just painfully been forced out of the creature's mouth at great anguish. Its scream had a certain harshness to it, as if it might have had something seriously wrong with its vocal cords, or it had just smoked 1,000,000 cigarettes consecutively. I remember the thing had a weird, almost scared vulnerability to the sound it made, which contrasted the harshness and tone as well as the defensive stance the creature took. All this took place in just a few seconds, maybe 10 at the most. From the time the thing exited the tree line to the next time it turned, postured, shrieked at me, and sent me running without a single thought in my head right back into the woods. I did not stop. I did not look back. I did not try to be quiet through the forest. I just ran as fast as I could. That is correct. I was so scared I ran back into the dark, scary woods to get away, only realizing how dumb that was sometime afterwards. The sound it made chilled me to my very core then. But now in hindsight, I think the flashing eyes bothered me more than the sound because it seems so expected. The flashlight glowing eyes trope is precisely what I have heard in so many other people's stories. I never believed about mysterious creatures they claim to have encountered. I mean, because that is what scary things in the night do, right? They flash yellow eyes and make scary shrieking sound at you. Obviously, what else would they do? I never made it to my friend's house that night, and I never mentioned this to anyone ever since. I managed to forget about this experience pretty quickly, although I'm not sure how my life was high drama at the time, so I'm sure it is because I did something stupid that took over my world. Not sure I understand that part. Second sighting, Central Florida, 2006 spring, I believe, early night, 8 p.m. The second sighting is much briefer, and as I mentioned before, I am 90% sure it was the same thing, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll keep this short and tell you simply that I was out camping, went for a walk along a trail, and watching my girlfriend hop from rock to rock across the river. I heard a sound to my left, and when I turned to look, I saw an extremely thin, skinny black, nubbed leg, possibly a tail, disappear behind a tree, as if an animal running away from something. I ran over this time, but I found nothing, and I didn't mention it to my girlfriend. No experiences or weird sounds that night, and no more encounters for several years. If you like more detail about this one, you can attempt to email me with any questions, and I will try to remember. Third sighting, Eastern Shore, Virginia, June 8th, 2019, late night, 11 p.m. Well, finally, here is the reason I felt I had to put this out there, and the reason I am so freaked out by this thing. It's not so much what happened last week, as it was another quick glimpse and nothing else, but instead, it's the fact that it happened again to me, and as far as I know, no one else. I was at a party at a friend's house, celebrating her birthday because she's one of those people in their 30s that still gets excited about those things. I don't drink, so I was not drunk. My friend lives with her husband in a farmhouse surrounded by open fields for a couple of acres in any direction, surrounded, of course, by a thick forest. I'd been there for a while, and the thing was the furthest thing from my mind. We're all just hanging out and rambling on about the usual small talk. I decided that I wanted to smoke, so I went out to the front door and onto the porch. I stepped forward and went to step down the front steps to get a little more space, and as I did, I glanced up and out into the field in front of the house. There was roughly 50 yards out, and bumbling through the field towards the tree. There it was, roughly 50 yards out and bumbling through the field towards the trees. For a split second, I could see the unmistakable shape of this weird shadow child thing. It was just the same as before. Large head and belly, unbelievably thin arms and legs, and again reflecting absolutely no light at all. I was mid-step when I glanced up and lost track of where I was stepping, causing me to fall forward. I managed to catch myself as I fell, barely, and I must have made a sound when I did it, because when I looked back up, the thing was on all fours, quickly running like a dog off into the woods. I reiterate, this thing did not move on all fours like a person in any way, but it moved like an animal with knees bent backwards. I was too far, and it happened too fast for me to tell if it had hands and feet this time. I started to walk out and look around a bit. When someone came outside, and not wanting to tell anyone, I just went back to the party. I must have been distant for the rest of the night because I couldn't get it out of my head this time. I ended up leaving the party relatively early and went home to start obsessing about it. So I'm sufficiently freaked out by a lot of things about what I have seen. Even discounting the second sighting, I got 2 brief but good looks at something that I cannot explain. One of the things that bothers me the most about this is, why me? Why, as far as I know, have I been the only one to see this thing? If it knows of me and is following me or something like that, then why does it seem surprised by my presence each time that I've seen it, and then enter a sort of fight or flight mentality? If it doesn't know of me, then why am I the only one to see this thing, and now in 3 different states years apart? I'm writing this over a few days to make sure that I have got all the details as best as I can remember, and hope I'm not the only one that saw this creepy being. What I saw that night was so unnatural, I never expected to see anything like it in my life. It honestly just did not belong in our physical reality. And it almost did not even seem to fit in the environment around it, as if something 2D superimposed into an authentic 3D background. I looked into shadow people, videos, and sightings, but I don't think this was that, as there was nothing ghostly about what I had seen. I was there, and it was there and had solid form. Each time except the second, I could see enough of it that I could tell it was not somebody messing with me. And I could see enough of it to say that it did not belong here in this world with us. My best guess at this point is that it and I crossed each other's paths in a possible interdimensional rift of time or time slip because of how surreal the experience was. I know that sounds crazy, but it is all I have come up with to rationalize the fact that this thing did not fit into its surroundings in any way. It did not even look like it was made to move and get around in this world. The force of gravity should have for sure crushed its skinny legs under the weight of its body. It was like an eggplant on toothpicks. Wow.
That's bizarre.
At this point, I only want to know that I am not alone, and what I saw has some explanation, rationale or no. I need one reasonable answer from somewhere at this point, because I know what I saw, and I can't get the way this thing moved or how dark it was out of my head. Wow. That's pretty crazy.
It's like something that's stuck in between two dimensions or something, like something went wrong in a transition, that type of thing.
Yeah.
The way he's describing it's like it's not meant to be here type of thing or something like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking CERN.
What's a CERN?
Particle accelerators, smashing atoms together and probably causing transdimensional rifts and things creeping through. I don't know. Who knows? Right. I mean, who knows? This guy could be a CERN employee for all we know. Probably not as a kid though, but yeah. Very interesting. So I extended the show so we'd finish it up. I do apologize that I missed the bell and knowing when I had to finish up the story. I probably shouldn't even have read it, but you got a little overtime, so I hope you guys appreciate that. I hope you guys had a good time. And Sheldon, you did put the link in the chat, right? Must have been.
You know what? Just in case, I'll put it again in there.
Android says must have been from Oak Ridge. Yeah, probably going to visit the Merkles next. You never know.
Wow, amazing! I mean, that's a unique experience. Have you read a story and that describes a being like that?
This is only 2 stories I've ever, other than the rake and crawler stories. The ghoul stories, but they're kind of similar, but not really. This is all new to me. So no, this is a new one for me too. I don't know what it is, folks, but that's going to be the show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Thank you so much for joining us. And please get involved in the Discord. We'll get another question up for tomorrow night's show. And then remember, all next week, no live shows, no scheduled live shows. We'll live stream as much as we can, but excuse me, sorry. But I go a little gassy. But yeah, there's just a lot going on right now. And thank you all for your love and support. Thanks for all the comments you guys are leaving on the shows that you're not watching live. If you're watching the replays, it means a lot. It helps out a ton. I'm sure making a huge difference in getting our show recommended in recommendeds on YouTube. So thank you so much for all your efforts. It means the world. So, and please if you don't mind, like the stream. That would be awesome. And I don't know. I guess that's it, right?
I guess that's it.
All right, folks. Well, hope you had a good time. Thank you all. Just remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube. And we'll talk to you then. So we'll line up a whole nother show of fun things to go over. But until then, folks, good night.
Good night.